Hi, this is Michelle Pealo with CodeVA, and this video is about navigating the Scratch workspace for beginners. So the first thing that I usually show my students is how to name the project that you're working on, because often they forget to do it, so we like to try to name our project first. And so if you only leave it as untitled, it will create a whole lot of really hard to find projects later on. So when you click up at the top, you're just going to click on the name Untitled, and then you can rename it with whatever you want. I'm going to use the title Sample Project, and then when you click away from that title block, or if you hit enter, it will save your title. Then the next thing that we're going to do is to take a look at the different areas of the workspace. So you can see there are 3 tabs at the top: Code, Costumes, and Sounds. The Costumes tab, if you have the stage selected, it won't say Costumes, it'll say Backgrounds. But if you have a sprite selected, that tab will be called Costumes, because that shows the different costumes for your sprite. To the right of the screen is the viewing window. I refer to it with students as kind of like a TV, or what you would see on screen. You can actually change the size of the viewable window so that you can have some more space to write your code, but you can choose whichever way you want to see it. Down here at the bottom is the sprite dashboard, and in this area you can see all the different sprites. In this case we only have one sprite, and there's also a sprite attributes panel. To add a new sprite, you can go to the sprite menu and either create a sprite or search for a sprite. We'll choose a sprite from the library, from the already existing sprite library in Scratch. The surprise button will just create a random sprite. You can also upload your own sprite if you have an image that you would like to use and that you have the rights to use in your project. But I'm going to select a sprite from the library, and you can see there are many sprites that Scratch has made available to us. It's a lot to go through. They're arranged alphabetically, but if you want to search by category, you can click any of the categories. These have all the music related sprites, some food related sprites. You can also search for a sprite that you're looking for. I'm going to pick the Cheesy Poofs one because my students really like that one for some reason. And so you can see I have 3 different sprites, and you can see all 3 of them. If I decide I don't want to use that tree sprite, I can click on the trash can in the corner of it, and you can click on each sprite to select it. And if you notice, when you click on it, up there in the corner of the workspace, you can see a tiny version of the sprite so that you know which sprite you are writing a script for. Next, we'll take a look at the attributes panel in the sprite dashboard, and the attributes panel just kind of shows you some details about your sprite. It has a name for the sprite, so you can see the cat was named Sprite 1. I think I'm going to change it to Scratch Cat by just changing the name in that field. It shows the X and Y coordinates for the cat, so it shows the location on the screen. There is a place where you can choose the size, so if I don't want it to be 100% the size it's supposed to be, I can say, okay, here's 50%, or I can also hide or show the sprite, which is helpful when you're trying to isolate a different sprite on screen when you're trying to code it. So now you can see the direction field shows which direction the sprite will be pointing, and you can change that either by dragging the slider. There are a few different options at the bottom. You can play around with that and see how it controls which way the sprite points, or you can even just type a number into the field, and that's just the angle at which the sprite should be pointing. The next area of the workspace I want to show you is the tutorials section. At the very top, there's a light bulb with the word tutorials. If you click on it, Scratch has actually provided some step-by-step tutorials for some basics and also some project ideas for getting started. There can be some more complicated ones, like creating the Pong game or a clicker game. And sometimes there are some smaller mini projects that you can use to build in to a larger project that you've designed yourself. So here, this particular tutorial shows you how to create the arrow key, how to code the arrow keys so that they can move the sprite around. And so there's a quick video that explains a little bit about what you're about to do. And then if you turn the page, it will show you step by step which code blocks you can piece together to tell the computer to move the cat toward the right, to change the X when you press the right arrow key, or to move the cat toward the left to change the X value negatively. And you can also change the Y values. As you go through the pages, at the end it will show you some suggestions for other tutorials to try, but I just went ahead and did part of this one just so that you can see how I dragged the code out. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the workspace. So where we just dragged the code out to is called the workspace. Over here on the left is the toolbox. And each command is separated into different categories. And so those colors on the side act sort of like folders to hold different types of blocks. And as you go through different tutorials and different projects, you'll get a sense of what each category does. You will be using the events a lot because we are going to be doing event-driven programming. In event-driven programming, the flow of the program is determined by external events, such as when a certain key is pressed or when the green flag is pressed. I'm going to create a script now that begins when the green flag is pressed. And then once the green flag is pressed, I would like the cat, since that's the sprite that I'm programming right now, to say hello for 2 seconds and then to think, And so what that will do is it'll show a thought bubble above the cat's head, and it will make it look like the cat is thinking. And then we'll go ahead and change the costume. So when I click the green flag, it will cause the rest of those actions to happen, to cause the computer to do those actions. Now, if I want to change the order of those actions, you'll notice when I grab one block, any block below it stays attached. So I like to separate the blocks first, reorder them, and then put them back together. And now when I click on the green flag, the computer will make it look like the cat is thinking first. And then the computer will make the cat say hello, and then it will switch to costume 2. While each command block does tell the computer to make something happen, the computer won't actually do those things until the event that is described in the event handler happens. So if you notice when I click the green flag, just the things that are attached to the green flag event happen. If I connect up the motion blocks that say to change the X by 10, when I press that right arrow key, it's hard to see it because you can't see my keyboard, but when I press the right arrow key, the cat will move to the right. Now, for moving to the left, we want to change the X negatively, so I want to use the left arrow. So now I'm going to press the left arrow on my keyboard, and the cat will move to the left. So that basically any time you write a script, you're going to want to have an event starting your script so that it will actually make the computer make that happen. So now that we've looked at the code tab, we're now looking at the costumes tab. And the costumes tab shows different looks or different costumes for your sprite. And so when you're looking in the coding tab, you're going to look in those purple looks blocks for changing costumes. If you only have one costume, you really can't change costumes. It's going to stay the same. And later on in the art tools video, I'm going to show you how you can edit the costumes. You can add new costumes. So if you decide that you want the cat to change into, say, a bear, we can select a bear costume. And so, okay, there's the cat's walking along, and then we can write code that will make it to change, that will make the cat change to a bear or change its look to that of a bear. Then there is the sounds tab, and you can see that Scratch has already provided a meow sound for the cat sprite. You can also add your own sounds by going to the menu in the bottom left, which we will do later on in this course. The last part of the Scratch workspace that we need to know about is how to save and share your work. So up here in the corner, sometimes it will say save now. Usually the online version of Scratch will auto save periodically, but if it ever says save now, you want to click those words just to save the latest version of your project before moving on to something else. And if you go to see project page, you can see kind of what the rest of the world would see if they want to look at your project. At the top of the screen, there's an orange band that says the project is not shared. If it says the project is not shared, then the rest of the world actually can't see your project. So clicking on that Share Now button will allow the rest of the world to be able to view your project. If you ever need to turn a project in or share it with someone else, you want to make sure you've shared it publicly first. Well, that's about all for Scratch Workspace Basics, and see you in the next video.